Hey everybody, it's me, Mike. Welcome once again to another exciting night of IncrediChat. Just a quick reminder, if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, go to our Instagram page. Make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe button. Follow us. We have a great giveaway going on. Just a quick little reminder of what that is. We've got this autograph print signed by all the guests from our last Incredicon, Jim Martin, Greg Berg, Joe Bev, and Brianna Densky. That, as well as a $25 gift certificate for Alternaverse Comics, available both online and in person at the store over there in Hyde Park, New York. Some other cool contests coming up. I'll just give you a little hint. We got some autographed items and some Marvel jewelry. Those will be coming on later on, but we're working to get through this one first. So make sure you are liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all of that great stuff with us as we go. But tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be welcoming in a wonderful follow-up to what we were doing last week with our buddy Mike DeLessio, who you know from the Marvel booth at San Diego and New York Comic-Con. Tonight, we're going to talk more comics, more conventions with our buddy here, a big supporter of us at Incredicon, Gary from Very Gary Comics. Welcome to IncrediChat, Gary.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I didn't want to give you your last name. You're like, don't put my last name under. So I don't know if people just know you as Very Gary. So the infamous Gary, Very Gary Comics. So Gary, welcome to IncrediChat.
Yeah, thank you.
No, this is great. Like I said, you have been probably one of our biggest supporters as we've done our shows here in the Hudson Valley. And we're continuing to do more shows in the Hudson Valley. Hey, I guess that's your wife that's watching us right now. Somebody popped in. Melissa's but yeah, no. So you've been one of our biggest supporters. I guess before we even just start talking about cons, I met you. I forget if I met you first over at Alternaverse at Anthony's or if I saw you at Terrificon. I don't even know where our paths originally crossed. But just for everybody watching, I don't know. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, but and we'll talk more about what you're doing too with your Very Gary Comics and that great artwork by Ryan Brown. But just for folks who don't know you, maybe from our audience, and I know you have such a huge following on your own side, how did you get in to what you're doing, collecting, flipping, selling, finding these collections? How long have you been doing that, and how did you get started with that?
All right. It's kind of a long story. I'll shorten it. So I've been doing it. It's probably like I've been reading comics for a long time. Been into comics for like ever. But I've doing this probably about 5 years, and it all started, funny enough, on YouTube. Really? I used to watch a lot of those like unboxing videos, like the loot crate and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And at the time, the New 52 Batman run was hot, and I was reading that, and I ended up doing a video on, it was a Comic-Con box. You got a handful of comics and some other stuff as well. And the books in there held a little bit of value. And I have to give credit to my wife because she's like, look, if you're going to do this YouTube thing before the comic, she's like, you need to make an Instagram to go with your account. I said, all right. So needless to say, I had the Instagram going. I had YouTube going. YouTube was a failed experiment, but Instagram wasn't. And slowly but surely, I started following a lot more comic people and interacting with them and getting into that community. I actually won a raffle on Instagram. So I won like an Amazing Spider-Man 122. It's a Death of the Green Goblin. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. It was like a $250 book and like a 7.0 at the time. And it just kind of spun off from there. It kind of got off the rails. And before you know it, I was on Craigslist looking for collections, buying collections, flipping stuff, building my own collection. And here we are 5 years later.
Now, how many books would you say are well, I guess from that point on, what was your collection like now to where you are?
My collection is extremely streamlined. Extremely streamlined. I have my personal collection is probably consider it split in two. So I have my personal collection, as in my slabs, my higher end dollar books, my high dollar books, my graded stuff, the stuff I display. I'm around like maybe 50 of those. And then I have my personal collection of my readers, my reader copy of my new books every week. And I probably have about 3 or 4 short boxes of the stuff that I read.
Gotcha. Now,
It's not as tremendous as you would think. It's really not. Maybe 100 total books in my personal collection that I'm not reading.
Really? Because I mean, for everybody who knows you and follows you and sees you at these cons, like you are constantly buying. And like I think the other day you how many boxes was on that last video? Was it either today or yesterday?
That was like 56 short boxes and 9 long. So you're looking at almost probably 10,000 books roughly.
Jesus, that's a lot of comics.
I don't consider that mine. I don't consider that's all,
No, I know. Well, let me ask you this question. This really is a good question too, because you go to these places, and I'm sure you've probably found. I know there's videos of you finding collections. How many of these comics like you're finding gold, but they're all musty, dusty from being in attics or basements, garages? Because like that's death for comic books, 100%, right?
Yeah, humidity.
Yeah. So I mean, is there life for those books, or when you find them, or?
Oh, there's still, yeah. Everything has a value. It's just, I don't like them smelling like mold or being dried out, but still going to make an offer on a collection, especially if it's Silver Age.
Well, now let's talk about this. How do you find these collections, and like what is like the ultimate hunt items that you're looking for? What is the unicorn in these?
Ultimate. Okay, there's levels to this. So the ultimate thing for me to find is something for myself, because that's how all this started anyway. So if I could find a collection and I could find a book for myself, that alone makes for the collection. Even if I'm buying 10,000 books, but there's one in there for me that I know that I need for an upgrade or something I don't have, it's worth it. After that, I want to find the Silver Age grails. The ASM, early ASMs. Amazing Spider-Man, early Batman, early Detective, early Journey into Mystery stuff, that kind of stuff. Silver Age grails. Still looking for an AF-15 in the wild someday.
Which one?
AF-15, Amazing Fantasy 15. Someday I'll find that in the wild.
So, because that's the thing. Oops, someone wrote like the Master Collection Grabber, and I guess like you're saying,
Matt Seitz, I know him.
So you're really looking for those Silver Age books, and because those are the ones I guess generate the most
silver and bronze, and of course I'm always looking for Golden Age, but that is rare. But the silver is still out there. The bronze is drying up. The silver's drying up. But yeah, that's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for silver and bronze.
Now, when you say those are drying up, what do you think that attributing to? Just other people like yourself have found them, or just the fact at this point now is they're getting just chucked because people are not realizing?
I think the people that are finding them are holding on to them.
Gotcha. And giving
I mean, granted, think about it. The Golden Age stuff is so limited anyway, because it's you're talking about 70 to 80 years here.
Yeah.
From that Golden Age stuff is very old. So there's less of that, and then the silver stuff out there is even less of that. And like, think about this: if you had books in your attic, let's talk Golden Age, right? Let's say they're 70 years old. How old is the person who has those in their attic? Like, they're kind of creeping up to like, it's kind of towards the end of their run. So those books are either getting passed down, or they've already been taken out, or they've been thrown out. And so now we're moving into that age of Silver Age. I mean, even Silver Age, you're talking about 50-year-old books. Bronze Age are 40-year-old books. Like, that's old, man. More than that. Oh my goodness, you're talking about 50 years old now for bronze. I'm Bronze Age.
So, and this, Matt brought up a good thing. The biggest issue now is everyone thinks that I guess they have 10K in value on watch books.
Oh yeah, I find that quite often. People think they have much more than they really do.
Because
I can't believe Matt's here. The poor guy's been working 8,000 hours a week.
Oh, well, he's a fan of yours. There you go.
We're buddies. He's out in Pennsylvania.
Nice. Well, hello.
He has, eventually we'll roll into the convention talk, but this is a guy who loves the conventions. Like, he's traveled. He had big plans to go out to Terrificon up in Connecticut, coming all the way from Pennsylvania. He dips into Jersey because he's not too far from the line. So like, I know he's struggling with without, other than working 1 million hours a week and no conventions. Like, 2020 was tough for this guy.
Yeah, no, and and like I said, we'll get into the conventions, but certainly for the fans, for the collectors, for the vendors, like, oh my God, like and obviously we'll talk more about you getting like really finding your footing over this pandemic, because it worked out well for you, right?
It's been okay for me.
And I'm going to ask you too now in that topic. I assume that a lot of people last spring were doing a lot of house cleaning. So is that where you maybe found such a larger influx of people like, you know what, I found these boxes in the corner. What can I get for them?
You know, not as much as you would think, which was funny. I think this year will be more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, I mean, I think I did well. I picked up quite a few collections. The best collection I ever picked up was picked up in January or February of last year, right before the pandemic. That was the greatest collection I've ever found. But not as much as you would think. You know, there wasn't a surge, put it that way. It was probably about the same. But yeah. I do expect this year will be better.
Got you. Now, let me ask you, going back to what Matt was saying about the 10K in books. On average, what do you think most collections? I mean, obviously, people say, "Hey, I've got this great collection." We saw that one video you did where the guy had what in his mind was worth more than what they really were worth. But on average, what would you say? Take away a couple of like some of those key books, like the collections that you do find. What do you usually find them to be around value-wise?
So that's such a tough question, because I've been on a nice little, when it rains, it pours, right? So I've been on a nice little hot streak of decent collections, modern. The last collection I picked up was great. I'm going to look at something on Saturday, which I'm optimistic about. But like what I get common is I have really old books. They're still in their bags. And it ends up being 90s Ghost Rider and Silver Surfer, because everybody bought that, or the Death of Superman, which is everywhere. So like more times than not, that's the stuff I come across. Mm-hmm. But that's usually it. I mean, I've been very lucky. I mean, somebody told me, my buddy Dennis, 4 Comics, there's like a saying that goes with luck, but I mean, I guess I'm not the luckiest guy in the world, but like I've had better luck, I guess, than most. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. Mm-hmm. 90s Marvel is probably the most I've come across.
Well, no, because absolutely what you're saying is true. I remember, I mean, you and I are roughly around the same age. That was the time where every week you went into the comic store and they were whatever, the hologram covers or...
Yep, the foil covers, the hologram covers. This one glows in the dark. This is a #1.
Everything was a number.
You know, the value of the amount of 90s Valiant and Image I've come across. Yeah. But that stuff was printed to the gills, you know, there's stuff's everywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the shops back in the day, like I remember we mentioned Superman, the Death of Superman book. The day that came out, and that book's probably maybe how much does that go on the resale value now? I still have one here.
$10 to $15 if it's still polybagged. They were selling it for $75 back in the 90s.
Yeah, and like the day it came out, I remember. Yeah. Like there was a shop over in Middletown that is no longer there, but the day that, and they were in the newspaper because people went in there to buy it, and they were charging more than what they should have been charging for that.
Oh book. Yeah, the black polybag had the armband in there and the cards in there, and yeah, if I get $10 for those, I'm happy.
Yeah, is it worth opening those if you have something like that for the folks watching at home?
I think it's number Superman 75. I mean, it's. I don't know. No, I wouldn't open it. It's gonna make your $10 book a $5 book.
Got you. Now, the one thing I want to talk to you about tonight is unique books, you know, because, you know, I'm a fan of like animation and things like that. And sometimes those books end up really taking off. Like, I mean, I'm going to share, you've seen this one obviously before, and I'm going to share this, and everybody loves this book. But this is a book, you know, that Matt's like toilet paper, you know, but to kids, these things were toilet paper. I've got the infamous Batgirl was our Batman Adventures number 12, right?
That's a big time book. That's a big book.
So now a book like this, for instance, Batman Adventures was a kid's title. So nobody really cared about Batman Adventures when it came out. So do you find that there are a lot of books kind of like that? Like I know, I don't know which issue is, but there's a Star Wars, like a kid's Star Wars book that's out there, which is first appearance of Ahsoka Tano, and now that's like skyrocketing.
Yeah, that book is absolutely ridiculous. I think that's Clone Wars #1, Dark Horse book. Yeah, that It's tough, man. Because all right, so Harley, that's the first appearance of Harley Quinn that you have there, and that's in that early '90s era. Granted, that is like a kid's book, and I'm going to use air quotes, kid's book, right? It's Batman Adventures, but like I've found that book quite a few times, man, because still during that time, people were speculating. And they were buying bulk of stuff. And I don't think people were necessarily speculating on that was the first appearance of Harley Quinn. But I think at the time, people were buying multiple copies of almost everything they owned, everything they bought. Alan brings up a good question. Are we going to get into that?
Oh, yes. No. I definitely want to talk about that because I have some theories on who might be showing up on that. But I just want to go back to like other books, like and I want to ask about like kids books in particular, because a lot of the things that we do with Incredicon are kid friendly. Is there really a resale market for some of these kids books? Like, obviously like a back, like certain things once they're gone for a while, like I see like Animaniacs. My son is a big Animaniacs fan. I've been going online now looking for Animaniacs comics, and again, these were 90s books, a dime a dozen back in the day. Now some of these books are going for like $60, $70.
Yeah.
Like,
so what's happening basically is the market is changing based on what's hot at the moment. So there's you want a little spec book right now? They're talking about Powerpuff Girls coming back, a live action or an animated.
Yeah.
I'll bet you that book is going up in value right now.
The DC cartoon one that they put out.
Cartoon Network one, yeah, because that's their first appearance in comics. Watch, I'll bet you if you look that book up right now, you see a lot of sales and it's starting to trend up. You have to watch the TV shows, the cartoons, the MCU, Marvel, DC. You got to watch what they're doing on the big screen and even the small screen, and it's going to affect the market. So, like those children books, like you're referring to, you want to be ahead of the curve. Start picking them up now. Stuff that you think they're gonna come back out with. Like Animaniacs would have been a great grab because I love that. That was a phenomenal cartoon. And for them to remake that makes sense. To remake Powerpuff Girls, what about like Samurai Jack? What about Johnny Bravo? These Cartoon Network, why not go grab their first appearances? If they did Powerpuff Girls, which had a huge following, why not down the line do something else? Samurai Jack was a big one. Actually, his books garner a little bit of money.
And I think they're coming back because, again, my buddy, and you've met him a few times, Marty Grabstein, the voice of Courage, he looks for these Courage books all the time. These things generate money because there's not many of them.
Yeah, I mean, he asked me, and I looked, and I have no luck.
And when you're finding them, again, they're not like hot ticket items, but again, like, you may be paying like $20 for one of those just because they're rare. You're mentioning characters that show up. Because it's just another, and I guess these are maybe some more recent spec books, if you will. Characters that we've seen, this one here, first appearance of Phantasm in outside of the animated universe. So
so that's an okay book, but the bigger one is the one where she appears in not in continuity, but still first appearance. But that's just brand new, isn't it?
That one is new, but are you thinking about the one because there was an animated one that came out?
Mask of the Phantasm.
Well, there's the comic adaptation, but then there was a Batman Adventures annual. Or
with the cover where she's on the cover.
Correct. So I think that one, and then same thing. Like here's just another
great cover though too.
Yeah, and I mean I'll even throw out this one here too. I picked this one up, but this had the new girl from the new Batgirl, or not Batgirl, Batwoman. The black girl that's on there.
I don't know, modern stuff. It's week to week. I can't keep up with it.
Well, and that's the thing with the modern things now, something like that. Like
modern's hot. Modern is huge. There's a huge market for modern books week to week.
But the turnaround time, you kind of got to strike when the iron's hot. Oftentimes, I'm guessing with that because
with that stuff. See, that's why I'd rather dabble in the silver, the Bronze Age stuff. Like people are, and this is phenomenal character. The people going crazy for Miles Morales, who are spending thousands on thousands of dollars on Miles Morales. Why wouldn't you put that money into a Silver Age key, a high grade Silver Age key, instead of this modern stuff? But that's just me. I don't know.
No, I agree. So let's talk a little bit now. You mentioned the MCU. You mentioned all these different things. How do appearances, and we'll go to WandaVision now too. How do these shows, these movies, really influence that market with the comics?
Oh, it's everything. It's tremendous. There are books right now going crazy because of the speculation behind WandaVision. There are multiple books, and I'm not even talking about the big boy books like the X-Men ones and stuff like that. X-Men 4, that's her first appearance, and even Avengers 57, which is Vision's first appearance. I'm talking about like specs on Mephisto, Chthon, Nightmare, characters like that. Agatha Harkness. These are all rumored characters to be in the show. Those books are going crazy based on speculation. And these are good books anyway, regardless. And they're just Mephisto, which Silver Surfer 3 has hit a level it has never hit before. Like 8.5, I think, just sold for over $2,000. Like, it's going crazy.
And that's just because they're possibly rumoring that he's going to show up.
A lot of fingers are starting to point towards that. And Matt brings up a great point, too, with it's not just Marvel and DC. You have stuff like Saga, Something is Killing the Children, books like that, where there's rumors that they're going to be greenlit into programs, into shows, whether it's animated or live action. And those books are skyrocketing too. Something is Killing the Children is going crazy.
Really?
Which is a great story. That is not a kid's book. I know this is a kid's channel, but that's
fine. That's fine. We have stuff. But let me ask you a question. So like, we'll use Mephisto, for example, right? So everybody, and I mean, probably that's going to be what's happening in WandaVision. But in the event, like, the character doesn't show up, how does that then, like right now it's skyrocketing, then does it take a major hit after the fact, the character?
But with that being said, even if Mephisto doesn't show up, he's such a good character that the book may dip a little, but I think it's gonna level off higher than it was 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. I still think it'll be higher.
It'll be a higher book. Now let's talk a little bit about WandaVision. Where do you see this going? Because I mean, my God, there's all kinds of craziness going on.
There's a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation. Alano Sestero up there. Do you think Reed is going to be in the aerospace engine? So you're all caught up, right?
Yeah.
All right. So spoiler
for anybody who has not watched it.
So, I keep wanting to say her name, but what? Man, now I'm drawing a blank. What's her name? The chick who went in and then came out. Photon's daughter.
Monica Rambeau, right?
Monica, my God. Yeah, Monica Rambeau. She has a love interest in the movie. Oh, look, see, Alano Sestero. Great pronunciation of my name. You nailed it, Gary. So Monica has a love interest. All right, so let's talk about the aerospace engineer. Okay. Yes. So if you're not watching the show, WandaVision has Wanda has a hexagon force field around the town of Westview, and there's only one way in without getting basically assimilated into the program. And an aerospace engineer is going to create some tank-like thing for Monica. Monica knows this person and there's a lot of rumors and talk about it being Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. Now, there's only 3 aerospace engineers in the Marvel comic books as of right now. One is Riri Williams, who's like a 14-year-old girl. It's probably not going to be her. One is Reed Richards, which it absolutely could be Reed. I think it could be Reed.
They've been talking about astronauts, and
I don't think it's Reed, but it could be Reed. I personally don't think. I personally think that this person is the Blue Marvel, which the Blue Marvel character had an emotional relationship, a physical relationship, an actual relationship with Monica Rambeau in the comic books. They had a relationship. That makes sense to me. If you go back and watch the episode, you see Monica almost get a little giddy, when she's texting, and she says, okay, my guy is good. We're going to find, I hope we find out next episode, but I'm going to put my money on the Blue Marvel. That book is going absolutely crazy as well. Very, very low print run, under 20,000 copies sold. That's really low. Not an easy book to find. I don't think it's Reed, but then you also hear rumors that Reed is coming in the second Doctor Strange movie.
I've heard that
and
too.
Would it be great to introduce Reed now? Put your foot in the door and we bring him back a little later and we say, oh, he does have powers or abilities. But does he need an origin story? I don't know. I don't want it to be Reed. I want it to be the Blue Marvel.
See, because now with you're saying Blue Marvel or Reed, because Paul Bettany in all of his interviews is teasing that it's supposed to be this one person who's going to knock the socks off everybody.
Okay, now is he talking about this character, or is he talking about another character later in the program? Because I'm starting to think, and I didn't want this to be true, and I do, and I don't, and I do, and I don't, and I don't know how I feel, but maybe possibly Magneto.
That's what I've been thinking too.
And if it's Magneto, because Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is his daughter, if it is Magneto, which Magneto are we going to see?
That's which Magneto do you want to see? That's the question. Because
I want to see. Oh, I think I want to see. I don't know. I don't know what I don't care who I see as long as the story around it is good.
Of course, because
well done.
I think either guy would be great to see in it. And I see Marcus Ryan, Ian McKellen. I think Ian McKellen would be fantastic.
That's probably who it's going to be.
But if you bring in, what's the actor's name? I can't think of the guy's name. Fassbender, Michael
Fassbender.
Fassbender.
That would be great too.
Yeah, it would make sense. And then there you really are kicking off the whole mutants in MCU, and he's at the right age, and because I saw something tonight earlier that they're saying maybe Peter or Pietro. Peter that might be Mephisto in disguise, because there's all these things. It's Mephisto. And they said because they've shown they had these Funko Pops, and like there's a Halloween Wanda, a Halloween Vision, and then there's a Pietro, but it's in quotation.
Yeah, it's not Quicksilver. Right, I think everyone can agree that this is not Pietro, this is not Quicksilver, this is not Peter, this is not Quicksilver, but who is it? I also don't think Wanda's doing this on her own. I believe, and this is all speculation, guys. So like, there's no real. We do a show every Saturday night on 9:00 on my YouTube channel about this, but I believe that Wanda is not alone in this. I believe Agnes is involved. I believe Dottie is involved. Yep. I believe that
we haven't seen Dottie in a while either.
She's coming back, though. We'll see her. I believe that if they're not helping her and pulling this all off, then someone else is out there enhancing her powers. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a Mephisto, a Nightmare, Chthon.
Well, that's what they were saying about that guy that was behind her this week, too, in the mask.
Like that is a Grim Reaper. Are you talking about the costumed prop? No.
There was because there was there was that wind tunnel thing that kind of looked like Venom. I thought it looked like, but I guess it was something else. But there was a scene where they were out trick or treating, and there was a guy who was like standing behind her, who had like a demon mask on or something. Yeah, that was like a prop thing. That wasn't a real person with the long nose or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so that was. I think people were speculating that was just another tease for the Grim Reaper, who is another Marvel villain. So it could be any of this stuff. I mean, that's what's great about the show. The last thing I want to see is it not being anyone and it's just her.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely
a possibility too.
And I think this week, spoiler alert again too, I think when Vision found Agnes, right? I think, knowing that people are thinking of her anyways. I mean, listen, the cackle, she was dressed up as a witch, of course. There you go, right?
Agatha Harkness right there. Agnes.
Like watching her, like there she is. But then the fact I think she was playing Vision, kind of
I do too.
Like, oh, you got to get us out of here kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves, because it said the last episode is the 12th. So I think they're doing, was it 9? I heard 9, but then there was a hidden 10th episode that they did.
Yeah, I think it's 9, and there's about 3 hours of footage left between the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And then to see, talking about Disney Plus, what do you think the speculation is for this one with Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to also talk about X-Men. I think they're going to open up the Weapon X program. I think we're going to talk about that and learn about that, which talks about, Weapon X is Wolverine. I think they're going to talk about that. You're going to meet, I believe you're going to meet a lot of family members, Bucky family members, possibly Falcon Sam members. But that's what I think that's going to be about. I think it's going to be very action packed. I think it's going to be a lot like with the Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah,
mostly action, not a lot of I don't think it's going to be anything like WandaVision where I think WandaVision's a lot of speculation and what's really happening and, magical stuff. I think this is going to be very straightforward, in my opinion. Very straightforward. We already know Baron Zemo is in it. He's rocking the mask, like the real Baron Zemo mask. And we know he's like a mastermind behind stuff. So I think that's what's going to happen with Falcon Winter Soldier. And I think Loki's going to be a combination of the two. Yeah. I think you're going to get a lot of speculation during the Loki show. I think you're going to get a lot of teases during Loki. And ultimately, it's going to be a combination of WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. But this is my opinion. I don't know.
No,
I don't have any inside information.
But that's the beauty of these conversations, right? So do you think Loki, because I've seen this, could Loki be pulling the strings on WandaVision? Well, right?
I don't think so. I think Loki's doing his own thing. Now, I will say this. If you've seen the Loki trailer, you've seen the stained glass window in the background with Mephisto on the stained glass window. I do think what we're watching now may be referenced or talked about in Loki.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think he's going to affect anything, but I think he's going to acknowledge it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and it's pretty crazy too. When you really think about this, is like, we went essentially like more than a year. Like the last time we had any Marvel content was Endgame, Spider-Man, right?
Spider-Man. That was like August, I think.
Yes, Tony Stark dead, right? Now it's like 2019. Yeah. Like we went, God, a long time. And like, look how strong Marvel is, like coming in with these 3 in a row shows. I don't know what the fate's going to be for Black Widow. I mean, I would like to see it in a theater, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
They keep pushing it back and pushing it back I don't think it's going to hit Disney Plus, man. People are saying they're going to put it on Disney Plus and you have to pay for it. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want to give Scarlett Johansson her big moment too. She deserves it. She's been around for a bit.
Fair enough. And again, it's one of the it doesn't take place in any real continuity because it's already like a set period already. So
yeah, but something important is going to happen in that movie. There always is.
Which will
something. I mean, I think we're going to get a new Black Widow.
Yep. Oh, I agree.
So maybe that's what that movie's going to be about. I just hope Taskmaster's as cool as he looks. I hope they do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, but hopefully that movie is going to be. I'm sure it will be worth the wait. But now let's shift the focus over to Warner Brothers and DC, right? Because now 2 days ago they had Valentine's Day. Gosh, time flies with working from home and snow and all that stuff. Right?
Oh yeah.
So the Justice League trailer. What do you think about that new trailer?
Oh, I'm excited for that, man. I think I'm excited for it. I'm a little frustrated we didn't get it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
We should have gotten Darkseid, even teased. Granny Goodness. We should have seen more. Steppenwolf sucked, but we should have heard more about Apocalypse, where he came from. Like, we should have learned more about the New Gods. We should have learned. I don't know. He was basically on a rampage with no explanation, really. I don't know. The movie was very, I don't know. I also think where DC makes a ton of mistakes too is I think they try to cram too much in. Like, we didn't need a Death of Superman and Doomsday and Darkseid. Like, we didn't need everything jammed in to like one movie. Like in Batman vs Superman, like you didn't need bringing Wonder Woman in was absolutely awesome, but we didn't need the Death of Superman to also happen during a Wonder Woman introduction. Oh, and by the way, Doomsday looked like a freaking troll from Lord of the Rings. Like, they ruined him. It's just very frustrating dealing with DC. And like, explain to me how you get a Suicide Squad movie, a second one coming out this year, and a Birds of Prey movie, but you didn't get a Batman, a Flash. You got an Aquaman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, a Superman movie. We don't even know what the hell's going on with Green Lantern. Like, why do we have Cyborg and not Green Lantern? Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
No, the way that they mark, and that's what Mark said, Doomsday was Zod. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Did they not read books? Like, I don't get it. Like, you have, my buddy Juan always says, like, you have it on a silver platter. Here's the story. Now make a movie. Like, here it is. This was successful. We already know this book was successful. We know this arc was successful. We know this was good. Let's do that. Make a few changes here or there. Like, how did they manage to ruin 3 of the best DC villains in Lex Luthor, Joker, and Doomsday? How did they do that? Like, that's impressive. They ruined them all.
Warner
But
Brothers.
now you saw the trailer. You see how great now Joker looks in Justice League. So, see, there's Juan right there. He does say that.
And Javier's saying DC tried catching up to what Marvel did over 10 years, and they rushed it. And that's absolutely the fact. Is they Man of Steel was what is
Man of Steel was good. I thought Man of Steel was good. I thought Wonder Woman was great. I liked Aquaman more than a lot of people did. I think Aquaman would have been better if nobody talked and they just let the movie happen. And you didn't have to hear anybody talk. I liked it. Batman vs Superman I thought was terrible.
I'm going to be controversial.
I thought Justice League was like.
I'm going to be controversial. I liked Wonder Woman 84.
I didn't even see it. I don't want to. I thought Suicide Squad was terrible, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't really good at all. But that also has no part in the main storyline. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
Very frustrating.
And the other thing too, and in regards to what Javier was saying is, when you think about DC, they have some people like it, some people don't, and they all have their own different beats. But the CW universe, the Arrowverse, like that was already established. Like, I think one of the mistakes too, as they were doing some of these films, was not including those characters. Now they're saying with this whole HBO Max, they're going to be tying it into the CW and all that stuff because they opened it up with the multiverse, the crisis that they did last year. But that's what they should have done off the bat. Like the Flash in the movie, again, like you said, why
need to go
again?
Horrible.
They should have used. They had an established actor in a show. Just bring them over for Justice League, and that's fine. And
their Flash casting was horrible. But I feel like the rest of their casting was pretty good. Not Lex Luthor, that was absolutely horrendous too. But Superman was good. I mean, Ben Affleck was all right.
But you want to know what I'm going to say about Ben Affleck as Batman? I think he love him, hate him, whatever. I think for the age that Bruce Wayne was being portrayed there, the look,
that was a mistake too. In my opinion,
you think he should have been?
Why do you need an older, established Batman? Why not start from the beginning?
Well,
and now they're going back with Pattinson, right? But it's too late. You already screwed it up.
Well, but I mean, you go back to like the 80s and the 90s, right? I mean, by far my favorite Batman, and again, is this a spec book? Batman 89 is coming, right? So Michael Keaton.
He's coming to the Flash movie, allegedly. We'll see. And another thing DC screwed up on, they're not Black Adam. Now they're calling Shazam.
Shazam. I didn't even hear that.
They changed his name.
Oh my God. I did not even hear that information.
They can't get out of their own way. But then on the flip side, how good is Titans?
Titans.
I think Titans is great.
I just watched
Swamp Thing has a huge following.
I just watched this weekend with my son. I watched Stargirl, and I
was all right.
I was highly impressed, and they had just announced today that John Wesley Shipp is going to be playing the Flash in that now.
Oh,
he's
really?
Coming on. Yeah, the Jay Garrick Flash, which is really cool because they have the Justice Society in there. But that was a solid show, and I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting big things because I think with some of these, they have agendas in a lot of these DC.
Very frustrating too. Yep.
And like I think where the difference between DC and Marvel is with these films and these shows is Marvel just like goes and just has fun with being superheroes and the flaws of these characters, like they have like Tony Stark or whatever. I mean, my biggest issue with Superman, and I guess it could be best said from a podcast I heard with Kevin Smith, is in Man of Steel, he was a hobo. Like, when was Superman a hobo?
Yeah.
I was like,
he's just like that. I don't know. They can't get out of their own way, man. I don't like the cinematography in any of the DC movies either. I don't like that darkness. I mean, I don't need it to bright and fluffy like a Marvel movie, but why is it so dark all the time? Like, turn a light on, man.
But that's the thing, is like depending on the character. And I think Wonder Woman 84, and Joe Ryan mentioned Wonder Woman 84. I think Wonder Woman 84 was kind of, like you said, light and fluffy. It had, if you haven't seen it, but for folks who've seen it, like for me, it really did feel like watching a movie that would have been made in that Christopher Reeve era of Superman, and I mean, listen, there were definitely flaws in that movie, But overall, I thought it was a fun movie. Again, not popular here. I liked it better than the original Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, you're a
because
crazy person. I haven't even
I know.
watched it, and I know that's ridiculous.
I know, but you know what it was? It was a nice contrast from what Warner Brothers and DC had been doing. Like you said, this very dark thing. Because like Superman is not a dark and brooding character.
No, he's not. He's the big blue Boy Scout. If anything, that should have been the movie that was bright. The Superman movie. He should have been bright. Like anytime he was on camera in any of these movies, he should have been like a bright spot, right? He's Superman. And he's always it's all dark. Yeah. Everyone needs flashlights in that movie. Or in the whole DCEU, they need flashlights.
I mean, and it's a shame that the Brandon Routh Superman movie was such a disaster, because it could have been fantastic and Bryan Singer not screw that up, because it had that lightness to it, but the script and the direction on that was horrible. Brandon Routh was phenomenal. You saw the multiverse thing last year, the Crisis, right?
No, I don't watch much TV.
So
I know what you're talking about though.
Well, because they brought Brandon Routh back as Superman. He played both Ray Palmer and he played Superman, and
that movie was terrible too.
But
you're talking about the Superman where he has the kid, right? And the kid pushes the piano or whatever. Yeah, that was horrible.
Superman Returns, the movie, was horrible, but Brandon Routh as Superman was phenomenal. Like, I mean, he embodied everything that Christopher Reeve did with that character. And listen, those movies are not, the Christopher Reeve movies are far from perfect. The first
look at the time, the era.
Yeah. I mean, listen, but Superman 1 and 2 are solid movies. You can go back. I mean, there's some cheesiness in it, but they're still solid movies. Superman 3, forget about. That's Richard Pryor. I like Superman 4. The villain really wasn't, it was like goofy Lex Luthor and John Cryer, but it was still a fun Superman movie, and that's what they tried to recreate with Brandon Routh. And when they did the Crisis last year, like they kind of let Brandon Routh redeem himself as Superman, which was good. And I think they left it open, and I heard rumors that there are possibilities of him showing up again as Superman, which
There's been some good Superman. I thought Dean Cain was a good Superman. I thought
that's such a 90s.
Henry Cavill is great. What?
Such a 90s love. I mean, I like Dean Cain as Superman. He's a great guy, but such a love story. The whole and again, going back to this, I just don't like the fact that Lois and I like the idea of like Lois loving Superman and not knowing Clark is Superman.
Yeah. Oh, the dude from Smallville, that was good. He was good.
I couldn't get into Smallville.
I never got into it, but I thought he played a good Superman.
Yeah. Well, he never played Superman. He played the Blur.
He did for like 5 minutes at the end of the show, didn't he?
I think you just saw the S on his shirt. I'm assuming Javier is telling me I'm wrong about my opinion about Wonder Woman. Probably, it's fine. And so Joe Ryan agreed with me. And then here got the comic book principal. He said the Marvel now having rights to Punisher. Will we see John Berthnall's Frank Castle in the MCU anytime soon? I don't know. I
think we'll see him on a Disney MCU or Disney Plus. I think he's coming. He was too good not to.
Yeah, but
we're going to see all of them except Iron Fist. They're going to recast Iron Fist. We're going to see Luke Cage. We're going to see Daredevil. We're going to see John Bernthal as Punisher. We're going to see everybody.
Why do you think they're going to cast Iron Fist? Just because the show is so horrible?
No, because he was so horrible. He was horrible.
Yeah,
that's why.
I'm going to say this I like the Marvel shows that were on there, but the difference I think between those and Marvel WandaVision is I think WandaVision, and some people talk about Punisher series is so dark. I thought Punisher was a solid series, but I feel that some of those Netflix shows, like they did drag on a bit.
Season 1 of Daredevil was tough in my opinion. I thought they could have done it in 6 episodes. It was like a 12-hour origin story. I'm like, you don't need all this.
Yes.
You don't need all this. But how do you not bring Kingpin into the MCU? He's
got to be in there.
Unbelievable.
He has to be. But that's the thing
about great casting. Daredevil, I want Bullseye. Like, he was awesome. Season 3 of Daredevil was probably the best season of any of those Netflix shows. I thought season 3 of Daredevil was outstanding.
I like season 2 when
they introduced
that was good too.
Yeah, it was. Bernthal's really good.
Yeah, I again, Punisher's solid series. Season 2 of Jessica Jones. Oh my God, that was fun. Did you see that one too?
No, but she's coming. Watch Jessica Jones come too. I keep shaking my table. I'm sorry.
No, listen, I've been doing that too. Jigsaw is a great character. Kingpin, Daredevil are amazing characters. The rumor is Daredevil's going to show up in the next Spider-Man flick too. So.
Yep, there's rumors about him. I think he is. I think he's going to play his lawyer. I think originally it was supposed to be She-Hulk was supposed to play his lawyer, and they're going in a different direction. I could be wrong. That's just the rumors.
Yeah. No, I mean, whatever. Marvel, Disney, they have the right idea. DC and Warner Brothers, maybe
they need to straighten their stuff out, man.
Well, maybe after this Justice League, maybe they'll hit a reset with that, and
maybe. We'll see. I think the Pattinson stuff's going to be good. I like the way it looks so far.
Yeah.
Titans is good. Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah. I haven't watched Swamp Thing yet. That's the one I haven't done.
You see glimpses. Like the first Wonder Woman movie, you're like, all right. And Shazam. I really liked Shazam a lot.
That was a solid movie.
All right. We got Wonder Woman, Shazam, Aquaman. I could see people having their little issues with it. I get it, but I enjoyed it. And then boom, like Birds of Prey. Like, what? Birds of Prey? This is what we're doing next? Really?
Well, they were just wanted to cash in on Harley. That was really what they wanted to do.
Well, then make a Batman movie. You know?
Joker and Harley. There you go. You can't go wrong with Joker and Harley.
Oh, really? You can't? Well, did you not see Jared Leto? I think you can go wrong with Joker and Harley.
Well, if you do the new Jared Leto, right? The new Jared.
We'll see how he does in Justice League.
People are dying over that scene, and I think what DC wants to do now too is I read somewhere that they want to just do standalone stories.
I know, and that's fine, but I mean, look at Joaquin Phoenix, dude. You saw that?
Yeah,
that was amazing. I loved that movie. Talk about dark, but like, I don't know if we're gonna see Joaquin play the Joker in the DCEU.
No, let's see.
So there's your standalone.
And what an angle they gave to Thomas Wayne too, right? Like how much of an asshole he was too, which wasn't the truth in the books, but it's okay. But that's the thing is they took a creative license with it, and that was fine. But see, and that's what Javier's saying. He loved Jared Leto's version. He didn't get enough time to build that character.
False. That was horrible. Javier, I know him through Instagram and everything. That dude, no, he had time. He's an actor. But I heard it was all of his creative input to make him look like that.
All tatted up and everything.
Yeah. Again, like the foundation is there in the books. You have this guy's been around. The Joker's been around for like 80, 75 years. That's what you come up with? All the iterations of Joker? That's what you decide to do?
I'm tatted up.
Horrible.
But I mean, they said that there's also now a director's cut of Suicide Squad that people want to see out the.
I don't want to see it.
I don't know, and
what are they going to do?
It's hard to see, but let's go. We're coming like close to 9:30, right? Which is great. Let's talk a little bit about conventions, and we mentioned that we were talking about some of the folks who are watching. Where do you see as a convention regular, as a vendor at a lot of these shows? Where do you see the future of cons in the next year and a half?
I think 2021, you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see any big shows, personally. And the reason I say that, I'm thinking Terrificon will be probably the max kind of show you'll see. I don't think you're going to see any of these big shows. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these big shows, like a C2E2 and Emerald City, they postponed their stuff and put it all the way to December.
Yeah.
How many shows are they going to do in December?
Well, that was the same thing that happened last year. Everybody postponed until like August and September, remember? And then, of course, that didn't happen.
Yeah. So I think the reason these bigger conventions postponed and didn't flat out cancel was so they can hold everybody's money and hold everyone's deposit.
And now is that what the bigger shows are doing, is holding people's money at this
New
point?
York still has my money from 2020. New York Comic Con.
And I'm going to ask you this now, as a person who's attended a lot of these shows. So like, you have your New York Comic Con, and I'm not even going to say Terrificon here. I'm going to say like Reed Pop does New York Comic Con, C2E2. San Diego is their own thing.
These are big shows, though. You're talking.
Yeah.
I think New York does about 100 to 200,000 a weekend in the weekend. More than that. Is that a day? It's something crazy.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you see more of like these corporate shows being the ones that survive, and some of the smaller guys? I mean, listen, Sal and Dave I know you went there. They did a phenomenal job from what I've seen and heard over in Jersey. Like, do you see a lot of these bigger, smaller shows, if you will, struggling to hang on as this goes on further? Or
I think the smaller ones are the ones at risk. But I also think it's going to be the nail in the coffin in a lot of the smaller cons that were kind of holding on by a thread anyway.
Yeah.
I have names, but I don't want to talk. I don't want to say any.
No. I understand what you're saying. Because that's the thing is, I don't
want to wish anyone to fail. Like, I don't want these conventions to go away. But maybe if you lose some of these smaller, weaker conventions that were hanging on by a thread, maybe that's that much better for some of the other ones. And maybe you're going to get a better quality instead of these watered down shows. You're going to get higher quality shows.
Well, that's the thing too. And we were talking about this last week and it may not even be necessarily the smaller shows, but right now, and someone posted on Facebook the other day, they said, who's a big draw for a convention, right? And like for you could care less you could care less if Captain America is there or the Fonz is there.
I don't want them there. I don't want those people at my conventions. I want artists and writers.
Well, because the $100 that they're the whatever $100, or I guess if Chris Evans is there, it's like $200 or $300. That's $200 or $300 they could be spending with you, right?
Yeah, that too. But at least if you're full of artists and writers, now I can get involved. Now I can go see these artists and writers. I don't care to see Chris Evans. I like him as Captain America. He's an actor. Awesome. Good job. There's not a single book I want him to sign. I don't need to meet him. If he walked past my booth, I would wave and say, "Hey, Chris Evans," and I'm good. I'm happy with that. That's fine. But when they start coming to these conventions, I feel like how much money did that cost to get Chris Evans to come to that show? How much, if you took that money, how much better could you have made your show? How many different artists and writers could you have done? Could you have gotten a bigger location and add more vendors? Could you have gotten, 5 or 6 bigger artists and writers? Like, I'll always lean towards the artists and writers, but that's what I enjoy.
But and that's the thing is, I think what it's come down to convention wise, and I would even say for some of the smaller shows, is that I think the showrunners, they're looking at like a Chris, and I'm using Chris Evans as an example, but they're looking at like somebody of that caliber, because like you said, money wise, how much are they spending towards that, right? And that's because there's guarantees, and the return is supposed to be a lot more. But the whole point is that's like, oh, we have Chris Evans here at our show, so that's going to be more ticket sales for our show, and I'm curious to see how that's going to play out now, because I think kind of the opposite. I mean, listen, Reed Pop, San Diego, they're going to rock it because they are huge, huge, huge corporations, But I think the smaller shows, where they're really bringing in the artists, the writers, the guys like you, those are going to be the shows that thrive. I did a little outdoor thing. You pop by there. My event, and I had like some of the local guys here from this area who are artists and writers, and everybody was fantastic there, just because people were hungry to get out there, buy whatever, Legos, Funko Pops, comics, etc. That I didn't need to have a big celebrity guest as a draw. So that's why I'm kind of curious to see, because
people want to get out, man.
Yeah, and
people want to get out.
And I think even like these celebrity experiences at these cons, like, is it going to be worth spending $100 to take a picture with Nathan Fillion where either you're wearing a mask or you have like a piece of plexiglass between you? Like, that's not.
Nope.
That's not worth it.
You could put a piece of plexiglass between me and Jason Fabik, and I'm still excited as hell to meet him and for him to sign my comic.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
But the thing is, you don't care about taking a photo with him. You want him to sign
I
your
don't
comic.
care. I want to talk to him quickly, and because the line's going to be long, I want to talk to him. I want to say I love your work. I love what you do, and I want my comic signed, and I want it to go off to CGC and get graded. Like
no, and then
I want to put it on my wall. Put it in my case. Like that's
absolutely, and I think that's what's going to be the struggle for some of these bigger shows is they're going to be trying to find these big guests. And I mean, friends of mine who are managers and stuff, like I know that's a concern, and I don't know your thoughts on this too. We've talked about this before. What do you think about this whole online convention world that's happening now?
It's not the same. No way. Somebody wants to go to a convention. I can only engage this, use my point of view and my perspective. But if I'm going to a convention, I want to hold that book in my hand. I want to look at it. I want to look at the front. I want to look at the back. I want to see the grade. I want to see the price. I want to haggle with the guy. I want to say, well, what if I take these 3 books? I'm not doing that over the internet. I'm not doing that without, there's a reason too that the vendors at the conventions are going to get a premium for their book versus buying it on eBay. You can go buy anything you want on eBay and Amazon. You can go find the book you want right now. While we're talking, you can go find that book and you're going to pay whatever you're going to pay on eBay. You go to a convention, chances are you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium, but that price point, that is, you've just eliminated all of the risk by paying that little bit more. There's no risk now. You're holding the book. You know the condition. You're not taking the other guy's point of view. You're not taking that risk of that book getting damaged in the mail, never arriving. You're not paying for shipping. You're not waiting 3 to 5 days for it, or God forbid, if it comes from across the world, you're not waiting like 2 weeks for it. You're walking out of that convention with the book in hand that you wanted. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay a premium for that. So, and I think people are itching to get out and to do that. I went to a show in Jersey, just 3-4 weeks ago.
Garden State.
It was great.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But that's the thing too. And like, I know there, just again, reading and seeing what they were doing, they were letting in so many people at a time. Like a bigger show, how's that going to work too? Because
I don't know how the bigger show is going to do it. Now, granted, I went on a Friday afternoon at 11 a.m. I was able to do that.
Yeah.
There was maybe 50, 60 people in there. Everyone was spaced out. The booths were spaced out. Everyone had masks. There were hand sanitizer stations. It was safe. I felt safe. I never felt unsafe. I never, and even if you don't believe the stuff that's going on, it was still comforting to know that.
Yeah.
I used the hand sanitizer stations because I was flipping through books and I felt obligated and I felt like I wanted to use it.
And I think, people like yourself and me, we would do that on a normal anyways, because we all know everyone who does books, what that dusty feel is after going through.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting because, do you want people to be rushed through a thing, or do you want people to take their time? Do you do an AM PM kind of thing? Like it's going to be interesting to see how this.
They're going to have to. I almost think they're going to have to give you a time slot for an artist or a writer as well. Like, okay, you're going to be at 2:00. You're going to be at 2:05. You're going to be at 2:10. You're going to be at 2:20. Get there at that time. You have a 5-minute window. Once 2:05 hits, you're out. The next guy goes in. Once 2:10 hits, you're out. Next guy goes in.
Yeah, and the other thing I was mentioning about these artists and writers too, I do wonder, just seeing and knowing some of these folks, I think the current situation and what it's done is going to knock a bunch of folks out that probably may not see the convention scene again, like a Steranko. He may not come back out again. Exactly.
I mean, maybe he'll go get his vaccine shot and feel confident, because that's a guy who likes the convention scene.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He's a social guy.
Yes, absolutely. But he's like just somebody. I mean, and he's been at Incredicon a couple of times, and we lost him this year. I thought about Joe Sinnott. Like there is no way that had he, again, great guy, and we miss him, talented guy, but like,
oh God.
There would have been no way for him to come back out into this world again, cons, because it just would not have been at his age. It would not have been safe. And I just think about a lot of other people who are still around from that generation. That's why I mentioned Steranko, and Neil Adams. See, he's another one that, I think Neil Adams likes to do these cons.
He'll go. He'll be there.
He'll figure something out.
bending your books while he signs them, charges you 125 for a signature. He'll be there. His blue shirt.
So, but it's gonna be interesting. So I think, like you said, I think by the spring, why not the spring, the summer, late 21, I think New York Comic Con may happen.
Oh, you're optimistic. I keep going back and forth, man. One day I'll think it's going to, the next day I don't. I do think Terrificon's going to happen. The casinos are open. I think it's going to be very interesting. But I do think people want to get out there. I think people want to buy their books. I think they want to socialize. I think they've had enough. Let's go.
Let's get some comics.
Yeah. And, by the middle of summer, too, how many more people are going to be vaccinated? How many more people are going to be sick? How many age groups are they going to allow now for vaccinations? They're going to start opening up more and more. And it'll go away. We just have to try to be a little more patient. Obviously, 2022, I think, is going to be a full-blown, normal, back-to-life thing.
Absolutely.
Conventions, sporting events, concerts. I think by 2022, you're going to have it.
Wear a mask
this year.
Wear a mask if you don't, kind of thing in 2022.
Yeah, this year it's going to be, we're still figuring it out, I think. I think some are going to be open, some aren't. You're going to have some, again, Jersey's got conventions, man. They're small. Clifton Park.
They do the toy show in Jersey all the time, I know. The Horror Con is happening again in Jersey. So there's listen, anybody who may have the governor's ear, let them know we want to do some stuff in New York.
He's just more concerns right now.
Yeah, really. So anyways, because we're coming to the end here. For where people want to reach out to you, where can people find you?
Oh, Instagram, @VeryGary_comics, YouTube, Very Gary Comics. I have a TikTok now. That's Very Gary _ Yeah. It's more ways of branching out. I have VeryGaryComics.com. I'm all over the place.
Nice. Do you have stickers?
I do.
I need to get a sticker next time I see you.
I have stickers.
I need to put it in my record box.
Yep.
So have a nice collection. Gary, this has been great tonight.
Yeah.
And fun. And thanks to everybody who's been popping in. So we definitely need to do this again. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe at some point do a live one from the new Alternaverse, right?
Yeah, we could do that. What's going on? What are you? Can I ask you a question? What's going on with Incredicon? You're just kind of biting your time, waiting for the opportunity.
Well, so I'll answer this question, and I don't think we've ever really gone into it. Maybe a year ago we went into. So last year we were supposed to in March do our big Incredicon. We do our mall show, and in March we were going to branch out and do a weekend long show, as you remember, over at the Ramada in over here in Fishkill. And we waited until Cuomo said you cannot do it. We like a week before we canceled it.
Yeah.
We held out because I was adamant. I'm like, we're gonna do this. I think you even were like, this is gonna happen, right? And it got shut down. And so me and my buddy Grazi, who does Incredicons with me, we went into quarantine, and what really started out as just like, hey, we're gonna just come on and talk about comics and pop culture and all that stuff, kind of just gelled into. There was a point in the spring we were doing like 2 or 3 shows a week, which was like insanity. Insanity. So that's why Grazia does his Get in Tune now, and I do the Incredicons on the IncrediChats on Thursday. But the whole purpose behind it was, talking about survival of shows. Like there are, and again, you and I talked about this back in the spring. There are online conventions, but I'd rather just bring free content to people and talk to like awesome folks in comics and television, creators, people like you who work the shows. There's so many interesting people out there. So just chat with them and keep the Incredicon and name going. So that we're relevant. Like there are other shows that we know that are not, doing things, and so at least the Incredicon name is there. And as over the year, we've grown. We've picked up people from different parts of the world, which has been really awesome. I'm starting the Instagram thing, so folks watching this, please go to Incredicon HV on Instagram. But really, really working. My whole thing is like working with you, working with Anthony over at Alternaverse, Steve at Champion. Just to do a really cool event here in the community. So that's why we do this. And again, guest wise, we were talking about this before. This is given the advantage to make connections with people who maybe we would not have necessarily reached out to before or have had at one of our shows, because our audience is now, and just as with your audience, this is a more worldwide, national, global audience that we have now. So again, people are watching us from all over, so we get to meet cool people. Like I will plug next week, and I'm going to show you this book. This is like a $70 book talking about Animaniacs, right? So this one is issue 35, right, of Animaniacs. And
Freakazoid.
So, and this is the first and ever only appearance of Freakazoid in comics, right? The reason I plug next Thursday night, we have Paul Rugg, who is the voice of Freakazoid, who will be with us. So he's on Earth the Net. So guys who are watching this, tune in next week for that. But that's the thing. He's out in LA, and he doesn't, as far as I know, do cons regularly, or at least out here on this coast, but we're able to connect with him and share him with everybody else. So that's kind of cool. And that's hopefully that was a good answer to your question.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, this area is desperate for a convention when things come back. There's a lot of people here. And with everything that's going on, there's more people here now than there was a year ago. So everyone's coming out of the city. So,
well, like I said, we have, and I'll plug it here for folks who are in the Hudson Valley. We're going to keep Paul Rugg, yes, Sarah Jane, I know you're going to be psyched for that. Folks who are in the Hudson Valley, look for late March, early April, the return of our Hudson Valley Drinking Draws over at the 110 Grill at the Poughkeepsie Galleria. And there will be an event here in Wappingers Falls in May. So we'll be promoting more information about that as that happens. So we don't know if it's going to be outdoor or indoor at this point now, but there will be something. And hopefully in October, the indoor mall and Incredicon Halloween event will be back on. So we'll see.
I'll be there if it is.
Oh, absolutely. So once again, Gary, thank you so much for joining us, folks. Go to Very Gary Comics on everything.
Oh yeah, everything. I have an auction next Friday. WandaVision. We're going over WandaVision Saturday nights on YouTube.
Are you on Twitch yet?
What?
Twitch? That's another platform, right?
No Twitch.
No Twitch yet. It's gonna come.
I'm focused on YouTube.
Okay, but yeah, so check out Very Gary Comics, and for everybody, please go to Incredicon HV on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Like us, save us, follow us, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you all next week. Gary, just hold on 1 second while we end up, and have a great one. Thank you again, buddy.
Thank you.